All right. There's a really good video from the Seversky Donetsk River directly west of Izium. So, as you can see, some Ukrainian combatants came in a van with a little boat on top, and they're trying to set up cables across the river. And so these cables would, I presume, to get commandos and, small arms and anti-tank weapons across the river. And then here they got a net. This is being recorded by Russian drones. And so now it's going to cut to Russian artillery coming in. I think the Ukrainians have already split by the time the artillery hits. But the good part is you got these nice aerial shots and you can see exactly where this is. And so there's an artillery shell landing in the water. Now, here's exactly where this is, right here. And I'm going to go to the NASA fire map. So this area, it's starting to heat up again. Now, at one point, for days and days, and I talked about this in a previous video, this wooded area here was just two big, giant red fireballs of the Russian artillery over here and the Ukrainian artillery over here. Well, now this is mostly held by Russia, although, as you saw, there could be commandos still running around in these woods. Now, this red has popped up, so this is probably where the Ukrainian artillery is now. And, this is Russian artillery here. They're shooting back and forth. Here's the city of Izium. And, in here is Russian artillery. There's still a pocket of woods here that the Ukrainians hold north of the Seversky Donetsk River right here. So this artillery is probably shooting at each other. Then we got Lehman. There's Ukrainians here. This is a national forest. And then this is probably all Russian artillery. So they could be firing back and forth here. Presumably, this Russian artillery is also firing at Ukrainians on the south side of the river, on the south bank, although there's no red showing up here. But what's happening is, this is the city of Sloviansk, and people in the city are reporting that the battle is on their doorstep now. They can hear the battle. But what they're probably actually hearing is artillery going back and forth across this river. And so all these bridges have been demolished by the Ukrainian army. And I don't think the Russians have set up any big river crossing here yet. But now this is Russian artillery. So like I said, this should be all Russian artillery here. This is probably Ukrainian artillery, and then Russian artillery up here. Now, this red has popped up, and we don't see any red over Severodonetsk anymore, which is interesting. It's all moved over here. Now, the Ukrainians, this is inside the big cauldron. And the Ukrainians have had most of their artillery inside the city of Lysychansk for weeks now. And so there could be a bunch of Ukrainian artillery here, but also notice it's by this bridge. Now, this bridge was supposed to have been demolished by the Ukrainians weeks ago. This bridge was demolished last week. This bridge I talked about before is very heavily damaged. It's also kind of far away from where most of the Ukrainian soldiers are. But I've seen before where it'll be reported that a bridge is destroyed, but there's still enough left of it that soldiers can get across it on foot. So I'm wondering if the Ukrainian soldiers in Severodonetsk are trying to get across what's left of this bridge now. And so the Russians have started shelling this area. And of course, this could also be a bunch of Ukrainian artillery uh, firing out with Russian shells coming in at the artillery as well. Uh, Now, both sides are claiming victory here in Severodonetsk. Now, this city does not look big, but it's supposed to have a population of a pre-war population of well over 100,000. Although there's a lot of high-rise or, 4 or 5 story apartment buildings everywhere. Now, it's divided. This is mostly residential, and this is like a giant industrial area right here. And the Russian forces have definitely taken a very large part of the residential area. I'm going to show a clip from a brand new video that just came out. But first, now this, for weeks and weeks, there's always, fire anomalies here. This is where a lot of Russia is launching MLRS and artillery and everything. So some points of interest here. Right here is basically where I talked about the Washington Post article about these civilian volunteers that broke and fled on Monday, and then the 2 leaders were imprisoned and the rest were thrown straight back onto the front lines. So here we got fire anomaly. So this is still probably somewhat of a no man's land. And this is the city of Popashna here. Now, the Russians have created a bulge or salient. They've made it all the way to Bakhmut over here. They've come all the way down to this area by the Luhan River Reservoir. They've gone way up here. The part where where the bulge has not made a lot of progress is this village, and you get this wooded area, and I can imagine that there's probably still a bunch of Ukrainian soldiers in these woods. And so each day there's always a bunch of fire anomalies that show up in this village. Every day, both sides claim victory. Russia claims they control this little village, and Ukraine also claims they control it. So it is basically a no man's land. Now, Ukraine has launched a big counteroffensive against Kherson Oblast, but you don't really see much of anything in the way of big fire anomalies like you do along here. So this is still, this still shows up as, what appears to be the main front lines on the fire map. This is a brand new video from the Chechen Kadyrov fighters right in the heart of the residential area of Severodonetsk. And there's a few interesting things, like that building that was all glass, and the glass isn't destroyed. So the media is reporting that Severodonetsk has been, completely flattened and, looks like post-World War II Berlin. Although the video clips I've seen so far show damage, but they don't show the level of damage that the media is reporting, at least the parts that I have seen. And so this video is right in the heart of the residential area. You'll see it in just a few seconds here. Let me skip forward. Now this is a central building. It's got broken windows. This is like a concert hall. There's a sports center behind this that's very easy to find on Google Maps because they painted the ceiling blue and yellow, which you'll see a piece of that in a second. Here. So there it is. So you can find this easy on Google Maps. So once again, this is Severodonetsk. This is your residential part. This is your industrial part over here. And this is where that video was filmed. They're walking right around this area. So this is the building that says City Concert Hall. And, they pass some big apartment buildings. and you could see some broken windows, but it wasn't super bad. Now, this is the building you saw where there was all that glass, and the glass was all intact. There's been other video up in this area and just right on this edge and a little bit on this edge. But now there's video where they're right in the heart of it. So that's an up-to-date analysis of what's going on in the war using the latest and most interesting video clips I could find. Thanks for watching this video. Click the like button, post a comment below, tell me what you think about this. And please subscribe to my backup channels on BitChute and Odyssey, links in the description below. And this video is sponsored by the Conservative Citizens Foundation. Check out their website at national-conservative.com and click the subscribe button. New video every few days.